Okay, welcome everybody. Today I would like to showcase you a tool about DocBook authoring. It's called DAPS, DocBook Authoring and Publishing Suite. It's a tool which allows you to publish your DocBook XML sources with a single command. So why did we develop DAPS? DocBook itself is a framework that delivers DTD or a scheme and various style sheets, but it has, in contrast to, for instance, Techno tools, to actually publish your document. You need to fill with XSLTproc and a lot of other commands in order to get your DocBook sources published. And this is a major hurdle for newcomers to DocBook because it's quite complicated to publish your sources, and for long-standing DocBook authors which maintain huge projects, they need to develop and manage their own tool set. Mainly this is done with ANT or custom make files, and this is where DAPS comes in and allows these people to concentrate on what really matters, that is doing their style sheets and focusing on content. So what does DAPS offer? You can, of course, transform your DocBook sources into a variety of output formats. That is HTML, chunked and single HTML, the new web help format that was published a few weeks ago by DocBook. You can, of course, do PDF, EPUB, ASCII, and man pages. It also supports a variety of image source formats that automatically get converted to the correct format. So if you, for instance, want to create a grayscale PDF for printing, all the images automatically get converted to grayscale from various formats such as SVG, PNG, EPS, or PDF. DAPS can be configured per system, per user, and what's very important, per document. So you can have a configuration file for each book you want to create. And it allows to switch style sheets via command line, so it's very easy to create different looking output formats, for instance, different looking PDFs from a single source. Of course, it's open source. It's released under the GPL2 or GPL3 at your choice. So what's the main benefit of DAPS is that it supports large projects, so you can do complicated things with it very easily. It, for instance, supports profiling. At the moment, we support 4 different profiling attributes, that is ARC, condition, OS, and vendor. You can build parts of a large set. If you, for instance, have more than one book in a set that allows you to link between those books, you can easily build parts of the sets, that is books, articles, and even sections. It allows you to easily manage your stuff because you can generate file lists of source XML files or source images, and that you can do that either per book or for a large set. And what's more, you can create distributable archives. For instance, HTML archives for deploying them on a web server. You can easily build source profile source archives that you can ship for translations, for instance. And what's important, all these profile source archives, of course, validate. DAPS also has some authoring tools which makes it easier to maintain your XML sources. You can create a project from scratch with a DAPS init command that creates the needed file structure. It also has a example document with which you can start. It's mainly interesting for starters with DocBook. You can easily validate your DocBook sources by just typing the validate command. It has a link checker for HTTPS and FTP links. You can spell check your files or your documents. You can check all images in a document or a book with an image viewer that easily allows you to update your screenshots. And what's more, it has got a DocBook 4 macro set for Emacs, NXML, and PSGML modes. A little bit about the history of DAPS. DAPS evolved from the toolchain we used at SUSE to generate all SUSE manuals. It was called SUSE-Doc, and about a year ago we decided to do a major code overhaul of the whole thing, and the result of it was DAPS. We actually use it to build the complete SUSE documentation, but with DAPS 1.0, first public release, we stripped it from all SUSE-specific things, so you can use it generally for all DocBook projects. Okay, so much for theory. Would like to show you some things you can do with DAPS. So first thing you need when working with DAPS, and that is basically the only prerequisite you need, is to put your DocBook sources in a specific directory structure. It's pretty simple. You can see it here. We have got a book-specific config file. That is the DC DAPS example file. You've got the images directory with the supported images. And then you've got a directory which hosts all your XML files in a flat structure. So what to do when wanting to build, let's say, PDF? It's pretty easy. You can see here is the DAPS documentation itself hosted, and to build a PDF for the quick start, you just this command. So it basically works the way Subversion or Git does. Has the main command called DAPS with a few options, then a subcommand, in this case color PDF, and each subcommand also has got a few options which you can see later. So here we have the PDF. That's the DAPS Quick Start Guide. So pretty easy, just one command. And you can do a bit more with the subcommand options. For instance, if you plan to give away a color PDF for review and want to show remarks you have inserted in the code to the reviewer, you can just add the remark attribute and rebuild the PDF. Which now let's see. There you can see it holds the remarks. What you can also do is easily switching style sheets. So if you would like to have a bit more fancy output, just add the style root parameter, which then points to the directory with your custom style sheets. That the former version was built with the original style sheets, and now we can see some style sheets that we actually use for the SUSE documentation. So what DAPS does is, first it automatically converts all the images, then it creates the FO file, and afterwards calls the PDF formatter, in this case FOP, to build the PDF. So it looks a bit better now. So with a single command, just a single option, you can create a document that looks completely different. And of course, you can also create other formats. I'd like to show you, for instance, the new web help format. Another major advantage of DAPS is that it is fully scriptable. You probably have noticed that the only output from DAPS is the resulting file name. So you can easily call DAPS and pipe the resulting file name to another program. So here we go with web help. From the same sources we used to build the PDF, we now have a completely different output format, also with just a single command, and that is the web help output. Okay. So I told you earlier on that we have got book-specific config files, the DC files you can see here, and that allows you to put all the options you would normally use on the command line, just like the style root option I showed you earlier on, in that config file, so you don't have to type them every time. So let's have a look at such a config file for the quick start, for instance. So here we go. Pretty easy. The only mandatory attribute in a config file is the path to the main XML file. In this case, it's a file located here. Since this file represents a whole set with two books, the DAPS user guide and the DAPS quick start, we also specify a root ID, the root ID of the DAPS quick start, and that basically is all you need to build the quick start. If you want to make this style root change permanent, you just go and add that one here, path to the style roots. There's also a fallback mechanism. That is a fallback style root. If you have, for instance, only style sheets for building PDFs in the style root you specified, you can specify a fallback style root for other formats, such as text or mail pages or HTML. The default fallback format always is the DocBook style sheets, but you can also, with this parameter, specify a custom set of style sheets. You can also specify HTML CSS files here. And what's more, the DocBook style sheets are customizable via params, and you can add a few params here with this XSLT parameter, which you can pass to the style sheets to easily have a kind of mini customization layer. So in this case, we pass the logo to the style sheets. Okay, having done so, we can go back to the first command. And this time we don't have to specify the style root parameter anymore because it's already in the config file, which automatically gets written by DAPS. Okay, here we go. So DAPS also supports profiling. So if you, for instance, going to write a manual for a product that exists in different flavors, such as basic and premium, the documentation will be in most parts the same for both products, but perhaps the premium version has got some features the basic version doesn't have. In this case, DocBook allows you to make use of profiling in order to have some kind of conditional text, which you can only print when actually needed. And in order to do so, there are profiling attributes DAPS support. You can also enter them in the config file. In this case, I've got two profiling attributes. One that is for the attribute condition, in this case for a hypothetical DAPS premium product. And in case you have vendor-specific documentation, you could also make use of another profiling attribute called vendor. In this case, there's a value called SUSE. So whenever you enter some XML, DocBook XML element and specify OS, specify vendor is SUSE, this part will only get displayed if this variable is set. So how does that look in practice? Again, it's the same source for the quick start we used before, only this time the conditional text will get displayed. Okay, you notice here there's a section about DAPS Premium and a hypothetical DAPS SUSE edition. Okay, I've also told you that DAPS supports large projects and has got some authoring support. One thing I would like to show you is the DAPS init command, with which you can easily get a quick start into the DocBook, which is called DAPS init. Specify a directory. Let's say GMP foo, and then you can specify the root element of the DocBook document you would like to create. In this example, we'll make use of book. Okay, so now we go into GMP foo and see what it has created. Here we go. So we now have a working environment where we can directly start with So this is an example document which has been created from the sources generated by DAPS init. And of course you could do HTML, EPUB, whatever you like from there. Coming back to the large project support, when you have, let's say, 10 or more books in a set, it will get a bit complicated to locate all the XML files that belong to a specific book when you, for instance, would like to search and replace a certain string. And for this matter, DAPS offers you to generate some kind of lists. For instance, the list of files that actually belong to a certain book. In this case, I will not use the DAPS quick start we used early on because this only is one file, but the DAPS user guide that is represented by another config file. Oops. Okay, here we see a list of all files belonging to the project in a format that you can easily pass to another program, for instance, SED, PUB, whatever you like. You can also pretty print it to make it human readable. These are all the files that only belong to the DAPS user guide. You can do the same for graphics, and you can also do something that will allow you to easily update your screenshots. That would be DAPS get images. And you can pass the list of files directly to an image viewer. So we specify an image viewer, old-fashioned XV, and oh, sorry, I need to use another. I will make use of another book that is the an openSUSE book because the DAPS documentation does not contain any screenshots. Okay, what we do now is to display all the images that belong to a construct that has got the ID cha.inst. You could also pass a file to that command, but you can also use it with IDs, so that will easily allow you to operate with that command over several files. Okay, here we go. These are the images. See, list of images. And what's more, it also outputs the list of images on the command line, and you can also see the modification date. So that really is handy when you want to update a lot of screenshots. So any questions so far? Okay. So, although DAPS also already supports a lot of features, there are future plans for the next release. One of our major goals is to really support DocBook 5. At the moment, we only experimentally support DocBook 5 with DTDs. And that gets a bit more complicated when using relaxing, because you no longer can use XLT proc, but have to use Saxon 9. And also would like to introduce XLT2012 support for the style sheets we use. And another feature we would like to see in DAPS 2.0 is to make it much easier to create your own customization layer of style sheets. The DocBook style sheets can be customized. You can pass string parameters to those files, or you can write your own custom style sheets. But what we have in mind is to make it a bit easier to customize your DocBook style sheets by making use of a Unix config style file in which you just have the name of a parameter and a value assigned to it. So something like, let's say, margin equals 2em. And that file then will get passed by DAPS, and those values you entered there will get passed to the style sheets. So you no longer have to create your customization layer of style sheets, but can handle that with a simple config file. Another thing we would like to see in the future version is to be able to create diffs between different output formats. When you maintain software documentation, it's pretty hard to display the changes from one version to another. So it would be nice to have some kind of graphical diff in a PDF, and actually some rudimentary tools for doing that exist, and we would like to make use of them and make them better. Another thing we would like to do is to allow subdirectories for the XML sources. At the moment, DAPS requires to have them in a flat directory, but having subdirectories will make coping with a lot of files much easier. And at least for DocBook 4, we would like to improve the entity handling and allowing multiple entity files in subdirectories which even have the same name, which proves to be a problem. Another thing we'd like to add is tab completion for bash for the subcommands. So you don't have to memorize all the subcommands, but you can just enter C, tab, and then it will automatically complete to color PDF. And last but not least, you may have noticed that sometimes it takes a bit to create the output format, doing some performance improvements. Any questions?
You showed us examples of profiling.
Yes.
How would I go when I want to write a menu in different languages? One in German, another version in English.
Having it all in a single XML file?
I don't know.
You could do so. Question is whether you could do so by making use of these profiling attributes. Maybe I show them in the sources. That would be a bit easier. Okay, so what you could do is something like and then profile for the attribute line. So then you would have a config file for the German version, DAPS quickstart.de, and specify it to profile for lang equals DE. And you would have another config file for English and profile it for lang equals EN.
But that's not the way how SUSE is doing. They give separate files for different languages.
Yes. One of the main advantages of DocBook is that it actually is plain text. So you can easily feed your stuff into a translation memory. And that's the way we make use of translations. So what we do is create a profile set of XML sources. DAPS also has a command for that. And then hand it out to the translators. They feed it into the translation memory, translate the stuff, and then create, also using DAPS, create the manuals from the translated XML files. It's easier because you can make use of a translation memory when doing so, rather than having everything in one file. More questions? Yes, please.
Hello. I would like to ask you if you are planning to support new Wikitext formats or markdown files used by GDAP, for example, not only transforming XML to HTML or PDF, but also markdown or...
Well, actually, we have a target exporting MediaWiki, but the problem with that is you have to care about the images for yourself, because you need to manually upload them to the wiki. But if you do so, you can also create wiki text with that one. If you want, I can show you that. Then, so far there are no plans to support Markdown, but, well, if style sheets exist, it would be no problem to do that. These wiki style sheets were written by ourselves. Don't know whether there are any style sheets which transform to markup. So here we go. This is MediaWiki syntax.
Thank you.
More questions? Okay. So, if you're interested in DAPS, try it, use it, and if you're still interested, you can join our team. Currently, we are 2 developers from the SUSE documentation team developing DAPS, and we are open for contributions. DAPS is hosted on SourceForge on daps.sf.net. We have a discussion forum. Whenever you have questions, just ask them in the discussion forum. You can download the source code from the SVN. We also have tarballs ready. For openSUSE, we actually have RPM packages which you can install. It's shipped with openSUSE, and we've got a repository in the build service called Documentation Tools. For any other Linux distributions, it's just make and make install to install DAPS from the sources. Of course, spec files are welcome for other distributions. Then I can build packages for other distributions in the build service as well and make them available. And of course we have documentation for it. The quick start you've already seen, and the user guide, which is a complete reference for DAPS. Okay? If there are no further questions, then thank you very much.